Hi, this is Dave Bartosowitz with Have You Experienced Jesus? You know, listen, the reason why I am sharing something that I haven't really discussed about is a very important idea that I like to share with people. In the LDS Church, they use this word translation all the time. Now, I've been really thinking about this as of late, especially since the LDS Church came out about almost 8-9 months ago in referring to that Joseph Smith used the Seer Stone to translate the Book of Mormon. Now, I've been thinking about this over and over, and I thought about the word, what is the actual definition of translation? Because with the Mormon faith, you get to see that they use this word consistently. Now, I've done shows just recently showing, did Joseph Smith really use translation, or was it possibly done by other means? I have some videos. If you're interested in looking at that, please go in my library of videos and you can see what I talked about regarding that. However, I want to give the definition of translation. Translation means a process of translating words or texts from one language into another, right? Now, we get to know with Joseph Smith that he claimed that Moroni gave him these plates that were actually where? They're at the Hill Cumorah, and he went to find them, and he received all these golden plates, and then he had the opportunity to translate them. Now, supposedly he used a gift, I guess a tool, a Urim and Thummim. Now, anybody who knows about the Old Testament, the high priest was given this Urim and Thummim, but you got to realize, was this a tool that Joseph Smith actually had? Because the Urim and Thummim was really, if you ask God about something, and if you had this tool, the high priest had this tool, it would really be a yes or no answer. And so it wasn't able to translate anything. But what we do find that Joseph Smith really used a seer stone. And he used a seer stone that he put in a black hat that was quite large. And actually, he said that there were illuminated words and letters that would come from the seer stone. Now, he had scribes, right? And he used 4 or more scribes. And they were Martin Harris, Emma Smith, Oliver Cowdery, and David Whitmer. Now, each of them said that he was able to use this seer stone. But I want to give you a little heads up. Where did he get this seer stone? You know, where did he find it? Actually, if any of you are interested in wanting to know more of the historical basis of this seer stone, you will find that he actually received this seer stone in a well, 20 foot deep in a well, and then he found it and used this as he was going about trying to make money. He was known as the glass looker. He actually went to a place where he would go and see like treasure hunting. So he was using this far before he came up with the golden plates that he supposedly received. Now, he actually was proven guilty by a judge, stating that what he was doing was wrong, and he conned an individual to give him money to find minerals, which he was never able to find. He claimed that he used a seer stone to find things and discover things. And he actually went out and with his father and his brothers to build caves and supposedly try to find gold and all this stuff. So we see the beginnings of this seer stone, right? So it came from that to the golden plates, right? He was using the seer stone that we now know that every scribe said that he used the seer stone in a hat, and he actually supposedly was using this word translation to translate from this language. Now, what was this language? We got to ask that. It was known supposedly as Reformed Egyptian. This was the language that he was supposed to translate. Moroni expected him to use the translation of Reformed Egyptian into English. Joseph Smith, obviously, because he was an uneducated person, he wasn't able to translate, right, this Reformed Egyptian into English, and so he opted to use this Seer Stone. Now, the reason why I'm talking to you today, because it concerned me quite a bit about this word translation. Again, something that is translated is in the process of translating a language from one source to another source. So that's the key. Was he able to do this? No. He did not look at the actual plates. He did not know the actual language. And he did not go from looking at every single detail of supposedly Reformed Egyptian to writing it into English. That was not the case. So why do Mormons and the LDS Church constantly use this word if it really wasn't done the way translation is supposed to be? I don't know. I mean, it troubles me. I think realistically that the LDS Church should stop it, stop using that word, because it's not a word that really defines what occurred. So if it's not the actual word, then what do we think? What kind of thoughts do we have that relates of how he was able to do this? Well, Joseph Smith said in the preface of 1830 edition of the Book of Mormon, he writes this: "I would inform you that I translated the book by the gift and power of God." When pressed for specifics about the process of translation, Joseph repeated on several occasions that it had been done by the gift and power of God, and once added, it was not intended, you got to hear this, it was not intended to tell the world all the particulars of the coming forth of the Book of Mormon. That's interesting right there. Why wouldn't he really divulge that? Now, the LDS Church did not want to divulge. I could tell you, they've been getting a lot of people questioning this translation process. We do know now that he did not know Reformed Egyptian. We do know now that he actually received, supposedly from the power of God. I shared in other videos that, was it really the power of God? Or could it have been channeling? Could it have been a medium by the underground? Because if you look at anything with a stone, and I've done this in other videos, and I've talked to a number of rock specialists and people who use stone to channel, could it have been done by another source? That's the question you have to figure out yourself. But for me, you know, I validated this. I've actually went to a number of rock specialists to see if it was possible to go and use this sense of like, okay, I'm looking at a stone and I'm getting information. Now, all the scribes said that's how it was done, but there was no translation. And if you really look at the plates were even being used, supposedly, and they're always covered, and you know, we would like to know where the plates are, and supposedly Joseph Smith actually gave them back to an angel, and they're up in heaven somewhere. So we have no idea, no way to validate that what he was actually saying and what was revealed in the Book of Mormon was true. It's all by faith. And so many have to pray about it to determine that it's real or not real. And all I have to say is this: translation shouldn't be used. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of that idea. It's not there. It's not there. And we have to just question if it's not translation. Well, it might be from another source. Mormons call it power and gift of God by a seer stone. That was never ever shown with any other prophets in the past. They've never used a seer stone. They've never used that. But in Mormonism, they put a lot of trust in the seer stone. But we know what was going on before Joseph Smith supposedly had the golden plates. We know that he was using the seer stone in many other ways and never found anything. So that's a fact. We know that. So the key is, what should we do? Well, I think we have to test, right? We're always taught in the scriptures to test the spirits. So how do we test the spirits? We got to go to the Bible, okay? And one thing I've learned, I put my trust in Jesus, but I also put my trust in the Word of God. And a key thing for you who is watching this, and if you're LDS, put your trust in the Word of God. Test it like the Bereans did. When Paul came and brought forth the gospel of Jesus, the Bereans, who didn't know anything about Jesus at that time, but they read, right, in the Old Testament, and they were awaiting the Messiah. When they heard what Paul taught, what happened? They believed it because they knew it was a good test, and that was the answer. So is this the valid test that we as Christians need to really look at and evaluate? Yeah, we should do it the same way. But is there another way? Is there another direction that we need to go with Joseph Smith? I would just have to ask you to do that and sincerely test in the Bible and do historical, understanding of content, of trying to figure out, is this translation real or not real? I hope that you question and you do this. Come to Jesus. I did. I love the Lord with all my heart, mind, and strength, and He is everything to me. I know that I'm a sinner, and I am made righteous, and I am imputed with His righteousness, with His blood, because He was the only one that was able to do what He did. And He was the only one without sin. We were all sinners. And with Him, with God and Him, when God views us, He views us as holy, righteous, and connected to Him. And we are now reconciled. It is through His blood He sacrificed that what He did. He was a great lamb. So I hope and pray that you think about some of the words I shared today. And if you want to share anything down below, please do. Contact me. I'd love to talk to you about this. But praise Jesus. We love Him. And thanks for watching.